now discovered more Denisovan DNA than researchers previously thought. This is according to a new genetic map.
Scientists thought human DNA would only reveal where people came from. Instead, after comparing human DNA worldwide, they uncovered patterns nobody expected to see. The deeper researchers looked, the more shocking the results became. Some findings began to challenge everything scientists believed about human history, survival, and even the human body itself. Could we be carrying hidden biological traits we still do not understand? And could ancient DNA still be shaping human life in ways science has not fully explained yet? Join us as we uncover the discoveries that changed human history forever. The Denisovan discovery that rewrote human history. For a very long time, scientists believed human history could be divided into simple groups. People from different parts of the world looked different, spoke different languages, and lived in different environments. Because of this, many researchers expected human DNA to form clear and separate genetic lines across the planet. But once scientists finally began comparing human DNA on a global scale, everything changed. The turning point began with huge scientific efforts like the Human Genome Project. This project helped researchers understand the complete human genetic code for the first time. After that success, even larger studies followed. Scientists collected DNA samples from hundreds of populations across Africa, Europe, Asia, Oceania, and the Americas. Powerful computers and advanced sequencing machines allowed researchers to study entire genomes in ways that had never been possible before. At first, many scientists expected to see neat divisions between populations. Instead, they discovered something far more complicated and far more fascinating. Human DNA showed endless layers of movement, mixing, and connection. Groups that seemed completely separate on the surface often shared ancient genetic links hidden deep inside their DNA. People living thousands of miles apart sometimes carried traces of the same distant ancestors. Ancient migrations that happened tens of thousands of years ago were still visible inside modern genomes. Slowly, scientists realized that DNA worked almost like a historical archive. Tiny genetic changes, called mutations, are passed from parents to children over many generations. These small changes build up over time. By tracking them carefully, researchers could follow the paths ancient humans took as they moved across the world. DNA began revealing journeys that no written record had ever captured. Scientists could now trace how early humans left Africa, spread into the Middle East, moved into Europe and Asia, crossed into Australia, and eventually reached the Americas. Some migrations happened during periods of harsh climate change. Others happened when populations searched for food, safer land, or better survival conditions. The deeper researchers looked, the more surprising the results became. One of the biggest discoveries was that most humans did not belong to isolated genetic groups at all. Nearly all studied populations showed signs of mixed ancestry. Over thousands of years, humans had continuously met, traveled, intermarried, and shared genes. The idea of perfectly separated human populations began to collapse under the weight of the evidence. This discovery carried enormous emotional and scientific impact. For centuries, many societies treated race as if it represented clear biological divisions. But global DNA comparisons showed something very different. Human populations had never remained completely separate for long periods of time. History was filled with movement and blending. The borders people imagined between groups were far less rigid than many once believed. The research also exposed major flaws in earlier genetic studies. For many years, most DNA databases focused heavily on European populations. This created an incomplete picture of humanity. Once scientists expanded their studies to include more African, Oceanian, Indigenous American, and Asian populations, researchers uncovered millions of genetic variations that had never been documented before. Some of the most important genetic discoveries came from Africa. Scientists found that African populations carried the oldest and deepest genetic diversity on Earth, strongly supporting the idea that modern humans first originated there before spreading worldwide. Because humans lived in Africa the longest, enormous amounts of ancient genetic history remained preserved within African populations. This discovery changed anthropology completely. Human history no longer appeared simple or linear, but instead looked like a complex network of migrations, separations, reunions, and adaptations across vast periods of time. Modern genome sequencing allowed scientists to compare complete genomes from many populations together. Combined with archaeology, fossils, climate records, and ancient tools, DNA revealed a far clearer picture of human history. But as scientists looked deeper into the genome, they uncovered something nobody expected to find hidden inside modern human DNA: the unmistakable fingerprints of extinct human species. The extinct humans still living inside our DNA. For many years, scientists believed the story of human evolution was simple. Modern humans appeared, spread across the world, and completely replaced every earlier human species that existed before them. According to this idea, ancient humans like Neanderthals vanished forever, without leaving anything behind. But then, DNA changed everything. When scientists finally learned how to recover and study ancient genetic material from fossils, they uncovered one of the most shocking discoveries in human history. Extinct humans had not completely disappeared at all. Small parts of them were still alive inside billions of people living today. The discovery began when researchers managed to extract DNA from Neanderthal bones that were tens of thousands of years old. This was an extremely difficult process because ancient DNA is usually damaged and broken apart over time. But after years of work, scientists successfully reconstructed large sections of the Neanderthal genome. Then came the moment that stunned the scientific world. Researchers compared ancient Neanderthal DNA with the DNA of modern humans from different parts of the world. They expected the genomes to look completely separate. Instead, they found something extraordinary. Most people with ancestry outside Africa carried a small percentage of Neanderthal DNA inside their genomes. This meant one thing: modern humans and Neanderthals had children together. Scientists now believe these meetings happened after early modern humans left Africa and moved into parts of Europe and Asia between roughly 47,000 and 65,000 years ago. At that time, Neanderthals were already living across large parts of Eurasia. As modern humans traveled into these regions, the two groups encountered each other and eventually interbred. The result of those ancient encounters still survives today. Most non-African populations inherited around 1 to 2% of their DNA from Neanderthals. Even though that number sounds small, it represents a remarkable connection between living people and an extinct human group. The discovery completely shattered the older belief that human evolution followed a straight path, with one group fully replacing another. Instead, human history suddenly looked far more tangled and connected, but the surprises were only beginning. Deep inside a cave in Siberia, scientists later discovered tiny fossil remains from another mysterious ancient human group. The remains were so small that researchers could barely identify them by appearance alone. But when scientists extracted DNA from the fossils, they realized they belonged to a completely unknown population. These ancient humans became known as Denisovans. Unlike Neanderthals, very few Denisovan fossils have ever been found. Much of what scientists know about them comes directly from DNA evidence. Yet their genetic impact on modern humans turned out to be enormous. When researchers compared Denisovan DNA with living populations, they found the strongest traces in people from Oceania and parts of Asia. Some populations in places like Papua New Guinea inherited surprisingly large amounts of Denisovan ancestry. This discovery revealed that modern humans did not interact with just one ancient human group. They encountered several. One of the most fascinating discoveries involved the Tibetan population living in the high mountains of Asia. Scientists found that some Tibetans carry a Denisovan gene variant that helps the body survive in areas with very low oxygen levels. This adaptation allows people to function more effectively at extremely high altitudes, where many others would struggle to breathe properly. Incredible as it sounded, an extinct human group had passed down a survival advantage that still helps people today. As scientists studied more ancient genomes, they discovered that human evolution was not a straight path, but a complex web of migration and interbreeding between many populations. Denisovans themselves may have inherited genes from even older unknown human groups that separated from human ancestors hundreds of thousands of years earlier. This means modern humans may carry DNA from several unidentified ancient populations. Researchers also found that some inherited Neanderthal genes still affect people today. Certain variants may have helped early humans survive diseases and harsh environments, while others influence immunity, skin biology, metabolism, sleep patterns, and even risks for some modern health conditions. But the deeper scientists investigated these ancient genetic traces, the stranger the story became, because some DNA fragments did not match any known human species at all. The ghost ancestors nobody has ever seen. Just when scientists believed human evolution could not become any more surprising, DNA revealed another extraordinary secret. Hidden inside modern human genomes were traces of ancient humans nobody had ever seen before. There were no complete skeletons, no confirmed species names, and sometimes no fossils at all. Yet pieces of these vanished populations still survived inside human DNA. Scientists called them ghost populations. The discovery began when researchers compared modern human genomes with ancient DNA from Neanderthals and Denisovans. At first, scientists believed these extinct groups explained most unusual genetic patterns found in humans today. But as technology improved, researchers noticed certain DNA fragments did not match modern humans, Neanderthals, or Denisovans. The sequences appeared to come from completely unknown ancient populations. This discovery transformed the understanding of human evolution. It suggested the human family tree was far larger and more complicated than scientists once believed. Ancient populations that disappeared long ago had still left genetic traces behind, even if their bodies had vanished from the fossil record. Some of the strongest evidence for ghost populations appeared in Africa. Scientists already knew Africa contained the deepest human genetic diversity on Earth because humans lived there longer than anywhere else. But when researchers closely studied African genomes, they discovered signs of extremely ancient mixing events. The results suggested that early African populations may have interbred with mysterious archaic humans hundreds of thousands of years ago. This raised an astonishing possibility. Long before modern humans spread across the world, Africa itself may have contained several different human groups living at the same time. Some populations may have remained separated for long periods, while others mixed repeatedly across ancient history. Scientists believe many of these groups eventually disappeared, but fragments of their DNA survived through interbreeding with the ancestors of modern humans. Finding direct evidence for these populations remains extremely difficult. Unlike colder places such as Siberia, Africa's hot climate destroys ancient DNA very quickly. Heat and moisture break genetic material apart over time, making recovery almost impossible from very old fossils. As a result, scientists often detect ghost populations genetically without ever finding their physical remains. To solve this mystery, researchers turned to advanced computer modeling and genome reconstruction. Instead of depending only on fossils, scientists studied hidden patterns inside modern DNA itself. Powerful computer systems compared millions of genetic variations between populations. Tiny irregularities revealed evidence of ancient mixing events that happened so far in the past that almost every physical clue had disappeared. Some studies even suggested certain ghost populations separated from human ancestors more than 1 million years ago before later interacting with other human groups. This completely changed the old image of evolution. Human evolution no longer looked like a simple family tree with clean branches. Instead, it resembled a braided network filled with migration, separation, reunion, and interbreeding across enormous stretches of time. Researchers also found evidence suggesting that some early modern human DNA may have entered Neanderthal populations long before later migrations out of Africa. And then scientists uncovered perhaps the most unsettling realization of all. Human DNA was not only revealing where we came from, but also exposing how survival itself reshaped the human body. How human DNA learned to survive. As humans slowly spread across the world, survival became one of the greatest challenges in history. Early humans left Africa and entered places filled with freezing temperatures, powerful sunlight, dangerous diseases, high mountains, and unfamiliar food. Every new environment placed pressure on the human body. Over thousands of years, those pressures slowly shaped human DNA. Today, scientists study the genome and uncover the incredible ways humans adapted to survive. Hidden inside human DNA are the marks of ancient struggle, movement, and endurance. The human body changed again and again as populations learned how to live in very different conditions. One of the clearest examples of adaptation involves skin pigmentation. When humans moved into areas with weaker sunlight, some populations gradually developed lighter skin. Scientists believe this helped the body absorb sunlight more efficiently for vitamin D production. In regions with intense sunlight, darker skin remained important because it protected the body from harmful ultraviolet radiation. These changes happened slowly across many generations as humans adjusted to local climates. Food also shaped human DNA in remarkable ways. For much of human history, adults could not properly digest milk after childhood. But after some populations began raising animals and drinking milk regularly, genetic changes appeared that allowed adults to digest lactose. This adaptation became common in several farming populations because dairy products provided an important source of nutrition. In difficult environments, the ability to digest milk improved survival. Human populations also faced constant threats from disease. As people migrated into new lands, they encountered unfamiliar viruses, bacteria, and parasites. Those who carried useful immune system traits often survived and passed those genes to their children. Over time, helpful genetic variants became more common in certain populations because they improved resistance against dangerous illnesses. Some of these protective traits may have come from extinct human relatives. After modern humans left Africa, they encountered Neanderthals in parts of Europe and Asia. Scientists discovered that humans inherited small amounts of Neanderthal DNA through interbreeding. Certain Neanderthal genes appear connected to immunity, skin biology, and adaptation to colder climates. Researchers believe some of these inherited traits may have helped early humans survive unfamiliar Eurasian environments. Another fascinating adaptation can be seen among Tibetan populations living in the Himalayas. High mountain regions contain much lower oxygen levels, making survival difficult for most people. Yet Tibetan populations develop genetic traits that help the body function more efficiently in these conditions. Scientists later discovered that one important gene variant connected to this adaptation came from Denisovans, another extinct human group. This ancient inheritance still helps people survive at extreme altitudes today. Cold climates also shaped human biology. Populations living in northern regions gradually developed traits that helped conserve body heat and survive long winters. Changes involving metabolism and fat storage improved the body's ability to function in freezing temperatures. These adaptations developed over many generations as humans adjusted to harsh environments. However, inherited DNA does not always provide benefits in the modern world. Some ancient genetic traits that once improved survival may now increase the risk of certain health problems. Researchers have linked some inherited variants to autoimmune disorders, type 2 diabetes risk, severe immune responses, depression, and nicotine addiction. Traits that once protected humans against starvation or infection may no longer function the same way in modern lifestyles. Scientists are also studying how ancient pandemics shaped human DNA. Major outbreaks placed enormous pressure on populations. Individuals with protective immune traits survived more often and passed those genes to future generations. By studying modern genomes, researchers can sometimes detect evidence of ancient disease outbreaks, even when written records do not exist. One of the most important discoveries from genetic research is that human adaptation did not create separate human species. Different populations adapted to different conditions, but humans remain overwhelmingly genetically similar. The visible differences people notice involve only a tiny part of the human genome. This finding directly challenges racist pseudoscience that falsely claimed certain populations were biologically superior to others. Modern genetics shows that human differences developed because populations adapted to local environments over time. These variations reflect survival, not superiority. Scientists also discovered that some adaptations occurred surprisingly quickly. Certain genetic changes spread through populations within only a few thousand years. Human evolution did not stop in ancient times. It continued as humans faced new climates, diseases, and survival challenges. Today, genome research is helping medicine become more effective. Researchers study how genetic differences influence disease risks and responses to treatment. Some medications work differently in certain populations because of inherited genetic traits. Understanding these patterns helps doctors improve medical care. But after decoding migrations, extinct ancestors, and survival traits, scientists arrived at a final conclusion so profound that it completely changed humanity's understanding of itself. The truth, human DNA, finally revealed. When scientists compared human DNA from populations across the world, they expected to find clear biological divisions between people. Instead, they discovered something remarkable. Humans were far more genetically connected than anyone had imagined. Despite differences in appearance, language, culture, and geography, the overwhelming majority of human DNA is shared across all populations on Earth. The visible differences people notice represent only a tiny part of the human genome. As researchers traced ancestry deeper into the past, another important truth emerged. All living humans share common ancestors if family lines are followed back far enough. Human history was never made of completely isolated groups. Across tens of thousands of years, populations constantly migrated, mixed, traded, married, fought, and survived together. Ancient humans crossed deserts, mountains, forests, and oceans, carrying both culture and genes into new regions. These repeated movements slowly blended human ancestry across continents. Because of this, many scientists now reject rigid racial categories as biologically inaccurate. DNA studies show that human populations are not cleanly separated groups. Humanity formed through countless waves of migration and mixture throughout history. Every population carries traces of older migrations and shared ancestry. The deeper scientists study DNA, the harder it becomes to divide humans into strict biological categories. This growing interest in ancestry also made DNA testing popular around the world. Millions of people submitted DNA samples, hoping to learn about their origins. Many received unexpected results, discovering ancestors from regions they never imagined. Others uncovered hidden family histories that had remained unknown for generations. However, scientists explain that ancestry estimates are not perfect. DNA percentages can change as databases improve and more populations are studied. Human ancestry is extremely complex, and interpretations continue evolving with new research. The growth of DNA databases has also raised concerns about privacy, surveillance, and genetic discrimination. Questions remain about who controls genetic information and how it could be used in the future. Meanwhile, scientists continue uncovering ancient genetic material once thought impossible to recover. Every new discovery reshapes the understanding of human history. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.